let's say limited resources. So given the limited resources, people make their decisions. So in economics, what we are trying to do, we are trying to learn how people make these decisions. Once we understand it, then we can provide some tools and techniques which can be utilized to make better economic decisions, better decisions. That's all. So if I raise the question, do we need economics? Do we want to learn economics? The simple answer, yes. So we need to learn economics, right? So then there's a question again, why do we want to learn economics? What is the reason behind why we want to learn economics? To provide the answer, let's see what is economics. So once we learn about what is economics, then let's get into why we need to learn economics. So let's start, as our colleague said, formally. Economics is a science. It's a science. We use scientific method. Right? We are looking at the observations and we gather data, we analyze the situation and come to a conclusion, and then come to a conclusion scientifically, and then we elaborate on that and convey the message and make policy recommendations and so on. So therefore we say it's a science. So it's a science, but remember it's a social science which deals with the problem of scarcity. So then the word scarcity is there. Later I will explain it, but for the time being, remember, scarcity means limitation of the resources. You may think about the resources available in our country. We have land, right? We have the earth. So we have land, we have labor, human being, their power, physical and mental ability. So we have land, we have labor, then we have capital, and we have the entrepreneurship. Later I will explain them in detail, but just what I wanted to say, there are different types of factors of production. These are called factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. They are available. It doesn't say that they are not available. Just think about Sri Lanka. Just think about your village. Just think about your family. We have resources. We have land. The family owns some amount of land. And we own some amount of labor. Then we have some capital, money. In the bank or in our hand, we have some amount of money. And we have the entrepreneurial ability. Right? It doesn't say that we don't have. We have that. But the problem, we have unlimited wants and needs. As a family, we have many wants. We have many needs. Later, I will explain those wants and needs. But just say requirement. We are having many requirements. Given these requirements, our resources are limited. This is called scarcity. And compared to our wants and needs, resources are limited. So we say scarcity is there. So in the society, we have this scarcity. We have no unlimited resources, but we have unlimited wants and needs to satisfy with limited resources. So in that point, we are going to learn about economics, because we need to learn how these scarce resources are allocated among different end users. There are different users for any given resource. So in economics, what we do, we try to understand how people make their choices. Because of the scarcity, people have to make choices. For example, just assume you are having 1,000 rupees. 1,000 rupees is your total resources. You have many things to do with that 1,000 rupees. Maybe you can have a good dinner. You can travel to some of your friends' place. You can buy a novel, right? Or you can buy a data card just to enjoy the social media. So, if you spend that 1,000 rupees for a particular purpose, you will be losing that 1,000 rupees. Then you cannot do any other thing. Therefore, the scarcity leads to choices. So people have to make choices. As human beings, always we make choices. This or that or something else. So always we have to make choices. Right? So in the society we have the scarcity because of we have choices. Because of the scarcity we have choices. Right? So in economics what we do, we try to understand how people make choices. So let me see the comments before getting into the formal definition. When we raise the question, what is economics? We can simply say, economic is the science. It's a science. It's a social science, right? Which deals with the problem of scarcity. Limited resources. Compared to wants and needs, resources are limited. So in economics, that is what we are trying to do. And because of the scarcity, people need to make choices. They have to select something instead of something else. If you decided to sit in front of the computer to listen to this discussion, you will be losing those 2 hours. You cannot use that 2 hours for anything else. You may have read the novel, but now it is gone. You cannot do that. You may have gone to visit one of your friends. You may get into social media and spend some time. Everything is gone because you made the choice to sit in front of the computer. Right? So, time is a scarce resource. Therefore, we have to make choices, whether to use it for this or that. So, same for any other resources. So, in economics, what we do, we try to study how people make choices given this scarcity. With that brief introduction, let's move into a formal definition, technical one. You may need to remember. So, the first one, it says economic is the study of how society decides what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce, which are known as fundamental economic problems. These are known as fundamental economic problems. What to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. These are called fundamental economic problems because irrespective of the market structure, irrespective of the type of economy, irrespective of the level of development, irrespective of country, region, village, firm, whatever it is, these 3 questions or the problems are common for all the production process. We need to decide what to produce, what we are going to produce, and how we are going to produce that. What to produce means what we are going to produce. What type of? Right? Is it aeroplane? Is it tea? Is it paddy? Is it banana? Table and chairs, computers, electronic items. Likewise, we need to decide what we are going to produce in the country. And the second question, how we are going to produce. Which technology we are going to use. Is it more labor, more people to be utilized, like in Sri Lankan tea industry? In the tea industry, we use a lot of labor, manual labor. Right? So we call it as labor intensive. So labor intensive production is going there in the tea sector. So we need to decide how to produce with more labor or more technology and more capital. Like if you take garment industry, but again in Sri Lanka, garment industry is a bit more labor intensive. But if you take like automobile industry, we have only very few labor now. In the automobile industry, we get a lot of machines. We call them capital. For the moment, just think as machines. So we have a lot of machines, few people. So we say capital intensive. We are using more capital. So how to decide is determined likewise. And we need to answer for whom to produce. These products are produced for whom? Is it the customers, those who can pay high price, like Apple iPhones? They have decided they are going to produce it for high-end customers? Or are we going to produce something to be sold for the general public, for common people, like Nokia, and with a lower, very less price? So we need to decide for whom to produce. So in economics, we study how people make answers to these questions: what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Simply we can say fundamental economic problems. So in economics, we learn how the human being make answers or provide answers for these fundamental economic problems. Then I can raise one more question here. Why we are having these fundamental questions? What is the reason behind? Why we need to decide what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce? What is the reason? The reason behind is the scarcity. Exactly the correct answer. So because of the scarcity, we have this what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. I do not know your religion, the belief with your, or the religious belief. In Buddhism, there's a saying that after your death, you may get to heaven. In the heaven, we don't want to make any choice. We don't want to make answers because we don't have these questions. In the heaven, we don't want to decide on what to produce and how to produce, which technology. We do not want to worry what is cheaper, whether the labor is cheaper, or using labor is cheaper, or using capital is cheaper, using technology is cheaper. We don't want to worry because scarcity is not there. And since scarcity is not there, we can produce whatever we want. So not to decide, not to think about what to produce, not to think about how to produce, not to think about for whom to produce. But in this world, and on the earth, we have economics because we need to decide what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So, one formal definition says clearly, economic is the study of how society provides answers to fundamental economic problems, which are arising because of the scarcity. So it goes with the previous explanation on what is economics. The second definition, it says, it is the study of allocation of scarce resources among different end users. It is the same thing, but it's putting in a different way. So it says, economic is a study of how people allocate their scarce resources, limited resources. We have limited resources, how we allocate them among different end users. That is studied under economics. So remember these two fundamental definitions. These are important and you need to remember these two. Then I have one more. It says, economic is a social science. Economic is a social science which deals with the economic behavior of the human beings. It is again the same thing. In the economic behavior, we are having this rational behavior where we are trying to maximize our happiness, either profit or satisfaction. And so we try to maximize our satisfaction given the limited resources, the scarce resources as human beings. So in economics, what we do, we study about this economic behavior. And economic behavior of the human being given scarce resources. So scarce resources are fundamental for anything. I wanted to put this definition as social science just to make you little bit clear about one point. And that is how we are going to learn economics. Now we know what is economics. So economics is a social science which deals with the problem of scarcity. Because of the scarcity, we need to make choices. So since we have to make choices, we have fundamental economic problems. We need to answer these fundamental economic problems. So economic is there. So this is why we don't have economics in the heaven, because there is no scarcity, no choices, no economic problems, fundamental economic problems. But in this world, we have scarcity, we have choices. So we face the problems of what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. To answer that, we have economics. So therefore, now we have a brief idea what is economics. But with this definition, a social science, it's a social science which deals with the economic behavior of the human being. So what is a social science? What we do with the social sciences? Social science, it is, social science studies the behavior of the human being with different aspects. In economics, what we do, we study the economic behavior of the human being under the subject called economic science. Then we have political science. There we are looking at the political behavior of human being. Then we have sociology, social behavior of the human being. Then we have management, right? So the managerial behavior. Likewise, we have different subjects in under category of social sciences, which looks at the behavior of the human being. So we are looking at the behavior of the human being. Therefore, it is called a social science. So in economics, what we do, we are trying to learn the behavior of the human being, or economic behavior of the human being. Therefore, it is called a social science. Again, there are two things I want to highlight. It is called economic science. As I previously explained, economic is a science. The way we study economic is scientific. So observation, data gathering, analyzing, interpretation. Right? So the way we try to find the solutions for problems are scientific. So therefore, we get the scientific solutions. That is true. But what we are studying, what is our study area? It is the human behavior. So since we are going to learn about the human behavior, doing this business scientifically is not that much easy. For example, if you want to cultivate, and if you want to cultivate some kind of a plant and put some fertilizer, different type of a fertilizer, and then study the behavior of that plant. So what we can do? In fact, I think you are missing previously in 2006 and 7 and even 8, we had the subject called general agriculture for all the university students. Whoever listen, everyone need to learn about the general agriculture. So there we learn how to cultivate a plant, vegetable or fruit or whatever. Now let's assume we are doing the same exercise here again. So then what we do, we get into the lab at Uvavilasa University, agricultural lab, right? There is a plant laboratory. So there what we do, we control the environment and have two sets of these planting materials, right? So one with that particular type of a fertilizer, the other without the fertilizer. So then we plant the same plant with the two sets of planting materials, right? Then we analyze day by day, we check it and then analyze. And after certain period of time, we can make the conclusion. We will say, of course, this fertilizer has some impact. So this is the impact on plant growth. So at Uvavilasa University, we control these are our findings and this is my conclusion. So based on the conclusion, we can say fertilizer has some positive impact on plant growth. Now we do the same experiment, same planting material, same seeds, same environmental conditions by controlling it because it is in a lab. We do this experiment in Columbia University. Will the answer or the results we get different from whoever. If we control the environment, will it be the same or different? The results we get at the two places will be the similar, or it will be the same, because we have controlled the environment and then we had one control group and one treatment group. Control group is the group that we did not put any fertilizer, and treatment group is the set of plants that we put fertilizer. Now we can compare the two, treated with control, and make our conclusion. Same thing can be done in Colombo. We control the environment and we have the treatment, we have the control, and then we run the experiment, and finally we say, yes, the fertilizer has some impact. We can do the same thing in Oxford. If you have a planting laboratory in Oxford, you get there and control the environment again. Right? Maybe the humidity will be controlled, air quality will be controlled, pressure will be controlled. Likewise, we control all the parameters and have the same experiment at Oxford. So we get the same results finally. You can do the same exercise at Sahara Desert. So in the Sahara Desert also, if you can have the controlled environment, you will be getting the same results. You can do the comparison because you have the control group and the treatment group. Right? This is the nature of applied sciences. You can control the environment in a lab and do the experiment and get the results for many cases. Not only agriculture, but you just take in medicine. So I get to there and cut a hand and see what is inside. Maybe I will cut my hand and see what is there. So I see the vessels are there, muscles are there, and bones are there, and so on. So you do the same experiment in Colombo, you get the same results. Oxford or Sahara, you get the same results. So this is the nature of the applied sciences. You can do the experiment by controlling the environment. And you can do the experiment having a control group and the treatment group. So you can do that. But the problem with social sciences, when we learn about the human behavior, we cannot control the human behavior. Human behavior get changed depending on the place, depending on the situation, right? Depending on the environment. We cannot control the situation. In fact, I have very good examples from the political field. Since this is a recording, I don't want to make those comments. Otherwise, we could have nice examples about the human behavior. We see some behavior with certain people, and who is much better than a particular guy. Okay, Ashen, this is just a simple, question, nothing about economics. But Ashen, now you are at home, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, since you are now at home and I am going to sell you one water bottle, let's say 1 liter of water bottle. Ashen, what is the price that you are willing to pay if I give you 1 liter of water bottle at home? Frankly, are you willing to buy or not?
No, sir.
No, 0 rupee.
Yes.
So Ashen is not willing to pay any money. That's exactly correct. That is true. That is the normal behavior of the human being. If you are at home, if you are having a filter there, why to pay money to buy water? Because the water is available at home with a cheaper price. If you are going to get a water bottle with 200 rupees, that's a waste of money because you can have a cup of water from your filter. So Ashen is very correct. But now Ashen, I will be delivering a lecture from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. without any water. And there's no water at your place. Let's say this is the classroom at Uvavelas University. And then at the end of the session, I will say, now people listen to me. I have some water bottles, 1 liter of water bottle. How much you are willing to pay? So Ashen, how much you are willing to pay in that situation? Now you feel thirsty because you were sitting for whole 1 hour, 1 day. At least you feel sleepy. How much you are willing to pay?
So can I know what is the price of one water bottle?
You can decide. I have only the amount. 1 liter of water bottle.
Yes, I will buy.
For how much? What is the price? What is the price that you are willing to pay? You are willing to buy, of course. That's true. Now, if I am just staying here for 1 day without any water, then I am willing to buy. But my question, how much, Ashen, you are going to pay for 1 liter of water bottle?
About 100 rupees.
Okay.
So for one water bottle?
Yes. So 1 water bottle, you are going to pay 100 rupees after 1 hour. Now, Ashen, what I will do, I will take you to Colombo on a field visit. So all the students will be taken to Colombo and we walk around Colombo from morning to evening in a very hot, sunny day, right? Without any water. At the end of the day, I will say, I have some water bottles. How much you are willing to pay? Ashen, are you willing to pay 100 or something more than that?
Something more than that.
Okay.
I like
definitely.
to pay. Because I'm very thirsty.
Yeah. So you may be paying 200 or 500 or if there is no any water at all, maybe 1,000 rupees for 1 water bottle.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then what I do, I will take you all to Sahara Desert for an experiment. And I will keep you there without any water for a week, 7 days. And then I will ask, I have 1 water bottle, how much you are willing to pay? So Ashen, what is the price that you are willing to pay?
Any amount of, sir.
Very good. Yeah, very good. The true answer is, we are willing to pay any amount, any money, or anything other than life. Because anyway, we are going to die. We know we are going to die after 7, 8 days. So we cannot be there. Therefore, we are willing to pay with anything that we are having other than our life. Okay, thank you very much, Ashen. This is the experiment. You see, the discussion we had between myself and Ashen. So, Ashen did not want to pay any money for 1 liter of water bottle when he was at home. But he was willing to pay any amount when he is in Sahara Desert. Right? Now you imagine the situation. Depending on the place, the same water bottle, 1 liter of water bottle, which was 0 rupee, got into million rupees or even $1 million in the Sahara Desert. Right? Now, if you just look at Ashen's case when he is at home and ask him how much you are willing to pay, he will say 0 rupee. Then I conclude that telling there is no any demand for water in Sri Lanka. Price of water in Sri Lanka is 0. Is it acceptable? And looking at the situation at the Sahara Desert, can I say that, the water price is so high, people are willing to pay huge amount of money for water. It is 100 billion rupees. The people are willing to pay for 1 liter of water bottle. It is also not true. And also we have general consensus. Later we will learn that demand theory. But the general consensus is that when prices are high, people tend to buy lower amount. When prices are low, people are willing to buy huge amounts, a large amount, a big amount in quantities. But if you take the case that we had, the discussion we had, when price is 0, we have no any demand. Nobody wants to buy because you are at home. But when it get to millions, then many people want to buy by paying millions. So when price increase, quantity demanded also increase. So it is opposite of a general consensus. Why we are having this? It is because of human behavior. Because it's a social science. We cannot control and do the experiment. We cannot control the environment in real economic sense. Of course, we can do laboratory testing. We have now economic labs where we control the situation. We get exactly the same situation in Vuvellasa, and we make the artificial similar place in Colombo. We make artificially a similar place in Oxford. We make artificially the similar place in Sahara Desert. Then we get the same answers. Exactly like applied sciences. But in real world, we cannot do that. You take Sri Lankan economy. Can we do the experiments? Can we have a control? Like 2 months, we try this. And then another 2 months, we try this. So then we compare these two. So then time is gone, lives of the people are gone, and the economy may get collapsed, right? Because human behavior, we study that in real time. We cannot make some alterations. We cannot have a control group. Like good example about education. If you have one classroom, can we divide that into two? Like your class. Can I divide your class 30 physical classes, 30 online classes, and do the lectures, and finally we evaluate which is efficient? Can I do that? I cannot do that, because if I do that, some people, those who are getting, let's say, online is the bad case. So these 30% of the students, 30 students, which is half of the total class, will be disadvantaged compared to the other colleagues, those who are physically meeting the lecturer. So therefore, in social sciences, we cannot have the control group and the treatment group. Whereas in applied sciences, we can do that. In social sciences, we cannot do that because we do our experiment in the field itself. Therefore, when human behavior gets changed, our results also will get changed substantially. Therefore, it is not easy like applied sciences. This is why I wanted to highlight this one. And you need to remember this. Economic is a social science. We study about the human behavior. Learning human behavior is not like growing a plant in a lab or even in a field. Even in a field, you can control to some extent the environment. But with human being, you cannot. So therefore, remember, economic is a social science. We are going to model the human behavior. And the situation is a little bit complicated because we are going to learn the human behavior in a scientific way, not like many other social sciences. Not like many other social sciences. In economics, what we are trying to do, we are trying to use the economic behavior in a scientific way. Right? Therefore, we have some economic models, like applied sciences are having their models. If you want to learn about human skull, if you get into the medical faculty, you have the model of a skull. So you can dissect it and study the inside. The same way, in economics, what we are trying to do, we are trying to make models, not physically, but mathematically. So we make models mathematically and try to understand the human behavior. Once we understand, then we theorize it. So we make some theories and explain the general behavior using those theories. So that is what we do in economics, right? So economic is a social science which deals with the scarcity. That is the conclusion I can make using all these discussions.